عملنا دورة 56 لبقايا المبيدات والذي
So with
يعنى
regard to
تسجيلات
the pesticide residues,
So
in
I will
regard to
begin
the
by
national
providing
registration,
a
we
brief
begin by
overview
providing
of the
this
institutional
overview
context for this item. So the
of
Codex
this item.
CCPR is the main body for the Codex Alimentaris responsible for establishing maximum residue limits
For establishing maximum residual limits for pesticides. This work is carried out in cooperation with the WHO meeting in pesticide residues GMPR. In regard to evaluation,
one, a balance between the evaluation of new pesticides necessary for international trade and agricultural innovation and the review of old compounds for public health reasons, as some have not been re-evaluated on a database, is therefore part of a global, as well as the management of scientific. Next slide, please. From the main objectives for establishing the National Pesticide Registration Database is to create an international register of national registration statuses for pesticides and the review, to support the periodic evaluation of pesticides by GMPR, to allow the identification of substances that are still in use, discontinued or orphaned, without manufacturer support, to facilitate the prioritization of GMPR reviews, to serve as a strategic tool to optimize workload, to avoid re-evaluating obsolete pesticides and focus resources on the most relevant ones. Also, to ensure that each CXL is based on practices actually enforced at least one country, and to avoid the unjustified deletion. Next, please. Next slide, please. The timeline of CCPR work regarding the National Pesticide Registration Database. This topic was discussed from the 48th session to the 51st session, 2024, of CCPR. Next slide. Next, please. So in 2016, discussions began at the 48th session of CCPR. The debate concerns over too many unsupported CXLs, creating a risk to the credibility of initiate the collection of information to strengthen the monitoring of national approvals. Australia and Germany designated as the pilot countries using an Excel template for was to identify which pesticides remain supported and which have been discontinued at the national level. Of CCPR marked the first step national pesticide registration. Next, please. In 2017, 19 countries plus the European Union letter. The results of these responses were the identification which are candidates for deletion, improved re-evaluation processes by targeting priority molecules, for example, carbofuran and carbotulfan still in use in some countries, so they require updated maximum limits. Ethoxyquin with limited use, is subject to discontinuation if no new data become available. The problem identified in this session were the variation in the quality of information submitted between countries with partial data or inconsistencies with formal requirements. In 2017, CCPR 49, next please. 1918, CCPR 15, publication of new circular letter, the expansion of data collection to include 24 additional items. The discussion was about the need to cover the full list of pesticides, not only table 2A and 2B, and the recommendation of CCPR 15 was to encourage greater involvement of developing countries, notably Africa and Latin America. Data collection was broadened, strengthened with emphasis on wider participation from developing regions. In 2019, CCPR 51, the format for data collection, Excel DS dedicated data subject to re-evaluation DS all pesticides, the frequency of updates, and inclusion or exclusion of non-food uses. Decision of CCPR 51 were to adopt a simplified database, to implement a 3-year pilot cycle before re-evaluation in 2020, entries to materials subject to periodic re-evaluations, re-evaluation table 2A to exclude non-food uses unless clearly justified, and strengthen cooperation with industry, for example, CropLife International as a source of comprehensive information on the stages of materials. In 2021, next slide, please. The problems identified in this session were that the review of old compounds significantly increases GMPR's workload. Some compounds are often no longer supported by manufacturers, still used nationally. A lack of clear information of national approval stages limits CCPR's ability to prioritize, and the recommendations of CCPR 52 were to review and validate the database approach, to encourage Codex members to respond systemically to circular letters, and to provide complete and up-to-date data. Next, please. So CCPR 53, 2022, 32 countries responded to Codex circular letter from 180 Codex members. So 25 active substances were examined. The identified trends were like widely approved substances, substances without support, and critical but still used salts widely applied in fumigation and storage. So this data allows to distinguish 3 groups: strategic products with wide distribution, which require monitoring priority due to global impact; marginal products, candidates for Codex MRL deletion, if products that require clarification before decisions can be made. So the analysis revealed a significant gap between substances vital to global agriculture and those nearing the end of their regulatory life. Next, please. CCPR 54, 2023. Into line active substances still on the market, but with toxicological assessments older than 15 years, was progressive filtering of substances, removal of those assessed after 2006-2007, removal of substances already planned for future evaluation 2024-2025, conservation of 69 critical substances for delayed examination. According to the age of the last toxicological 25 years, between 20 and 23 years, and between 15 and 19 years. We have three groups. Group 1 assessed before 2000, 14 substances. Group 2 assessed between 2000 and 2004, 17 substances. And Group 3 assessed between 2008, 38 substances. The challenges were age of data, large number of substances to manage, lack of industrial support, and dependence on voluntary participation and complex coordination, slowing database updates and CCPR decision making. 2024. Next, please. Progress of work. The Codex Committee on Pesticide Residue continued the development of the National Registration Database. The objective was to correct and complete the database to identify substances, but posing no public health problems, to facilitate revision work. Conclusions made were like this: globally important substances which require sponsor support or the use of recent assessments, substances important outside the European Union remain relevant due to potential trade interests, and less commonly used substances pose challenges due to lack of data and difficulty in securing sponsors. So the recommendation of CCPR, next, where the committee was invited to consider whether, next slide please. Whether the current approach to database development remains appropriate, if the answers collected are sufficient to review unsupported pesticides, reducing the number of items included in each exercise, whether results should be transferred to an electronic working group, additional workflow improvements. While progress has been made in building the database, participation remains weak, and European Union dominance is evident. Some pesticides are recognized as global priority, while others still require assessment of their monitoring, importance, and data availability. So the recommendation for consideration by the CCPR 50 suspend database unless specifically required, consult Codex members on alternative options for future. And finally, a reminder from the fourth meeting of Codex focal points in Arab region on preparation of for the 53 session of CCPR. Specific considerations for for the Arab region, where Arab region delegations are encouraged to actively follow up on this item and strengthen participation in calls for information on national pesticide registration. Greater participation will allow Arab countries to influence the prioritization schedules for re-evaluated by GMPR in the coming years. And thank you for your attention.